to start this. Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to our channel. This is our weekly Tawheed Halaqah. This is our 69th session. Before we proceed, this will be the last Halaqah until the end of Ramadan. Apologies.
The next meeting will be 23rd of March. That's the Monday after Ramadan. It will be the 3rd or the 4th of the Eid. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll reconvene on the 23rd of March on a Monday.
Yeah.
But I mean, most importantly, if you join the Telegram channel, you'll get updates as well. So.
And also,
Tafseer will be normal.
Tafseer will be normal on afternoons. Yeah, 1 o'clock.
Yeah, 1 o'clock. All the links are in the descriptions, inshallah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the date is the 16th of February 2026. We are on volume 4 of Kitab Al-Tawheed by Professor Masri. Chapter 10, page 80. The title chapter is Invalidation of Political Rule. Retaining the position of political office or rulership is not textually without bounds. Any notion held that once an individual occupies a position of ruling or power, that they can act with limitless authority must be dispelled. Indeed, the authentic textual evidences show not only that there are boundaries, but occupying a position of authority becomes invalidated once an individual traverses into areas that the Prophet ﷺ has clearly specified. Here we will detail the evidences which outline this in considerable detail. To begin with, the following has been narrated on the authority of Abdullah ibn Masud radiallahu anh, that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Among those in charge of you after I am gone will be men who extinguish the sunnah and follow innovation. They will delay the prayer from its proper time." I said, "O Messenger of Allah, if I live to see them, what should I do?" He replied, "You ask me, O Ibn Ibn Abd, what should you do? There is no obedience to whoever disobeys Allah." The aforementioned tradition is recorded by Ibn Majah in his Sunan with this wording as well as in other collections. Cited in the Musnad of Ahmad, there is the following. Muhammad ibn Sabah narrated to us, Ismail ibn Zakaria narrated to us from Abdullah ibn Uthman ibn Khaytham, from Al-Qasim ibn Abdurrahman, from his father, from Abdullah. He said, the Messenger of Allah said, there will be men in charge of your affairs after me who will extinguish the sunnah and introduce bid'ah, innovation. They will delay the prayer from its proper time. Ibn Masud said, O Messenger of Allah, what should I do if I live to see them? He replied, O Ibn Abd, there is no obedience to whoever disobeys Allah. And he said it 3 times. Abdullah ibn Ahmad said, I heard similarly from Muhammad ibn as-Sabah. From the same pathway of reporting, it is cited also by Al-Bayhaqi in Sunan al-Kubra as well as Dala'il al-Nabuwah. This hadith is sahih, upon which definitive proof is to be built. Others too have concurred upon its authenticity. Sheikh Ahmad Shakir judged it to be sahih, and Albani argued in Al-Silah al-Sahihat its isnad is jayyid upon the conditions of Muslim. A separate study has been undertaken with the channels of transmission together with scholarly statements upon this have been thoroughly analyzed. Next section, invalidating the position of one holding political office. From the wording, the aforementioned prophetic tradition, there is no obedience to the one who disobeys Allah, we can decisively conclude that this provides cogent evidence to invalidate the authority of one who holds political office. Primarily, there are 2 reasons for this. Firstly, the wording as it relates to ta'ah, obedience, is indefinite in the context of negation. Thus, by the ijma' of the scholars of Usul, it covers all types of obedience, including within the meaning of the given word in the Arabic language, the language in which the Quran was revealed, irrespective of whether that obedience is good, great, small, or otherwise. It lapses in its entirety, except where a legal proof can be established by way of legitimate exception to that rule. Secondly, the phrasing of the latter part of the hadith, to whoever disobeys Allah, is generic, covering all who disobey Allah. This is because it begins with a conditional particle of man, mim nun, whomsoever, which, as per the scholars of Usul, demonstrates the most emphatic form of generality. In this respect, the same was stated by Ibn Taymiyyah in his Majmu' al-Fatawa. This rule would have applied to all who have disobeyed Allah, irrespective of the level of sin. However, definitive texts do exist to provide for the exception of those who have undertaken lesser or minor sins, provided they aren't doing so brazenly from blame. If it were not for that, this would be overarching, covering both major and minor or lesser sins. In tandem with this, there are also various texts that outline proof regarding the absolution which arises from repentance. Those who sincerely repent do return to uprightnesses, who sincerely repent do return to uprightness with their testimony being accepted and the lawfulness for them to hold political authority and leadership. Textually, this is decisive in confirming that the obedience lapses to every fasiq, evildoer, but it also means that his authority too lapses. It is not simply a matter of the restriction of obedience to what is good and reasonable. As per the prophetic statement, obedience is only in what is good, reasonable, or in a statement there is no obedience to the creation in disobedience to the Creator. Those Sahih Hadith, as well as many others like them, are mass transmitted, mutawatir. Collectively, they establish that obedience is forbidden in every matter that involves disobedience. In other words, any command or order to undertake something prohibited or disregard something obliged, regardless of the condition of the one that issued that command.
Mm-hmm. So there's difference now. Just to clarify, there's difference between someone commanding an act. The discussion now going in America, for example, about attacking these fishery boats and so on, being a command given by the commander in chief. If they believe that this order is not according to the law, he may believe himself that's according to the law. He doesn't care about the law, the commander, but that's not the issue. The commander, this order should be disobeyed. And when you are convinced that it is against the law, whatever law it is now, obviously for America would be against the Constitution or the American law, and also international law, which is part of the American law. So if anyone believing that, he should, no, I'm not going to execute. I'm not going to attack. Someone else will stop there. Don't go, not execute. And that's what some members of Congress argued for, and they are now there's an attempt to try them, but I think the trial has been checked out. Anyway, so that's concerning the command. Now the question, the other general one is no obedience for who disobeys Allah, is that a commander who is known to be disobey Allah and is proven by the statute that he's doing it publicly, like for example, for a Muslim ruler, he drinks publicly, not caring about witnesses. That this act make him fasiq. He may be a kafir, maybe not, but he may make him fasiq. By this act, he become a fasiq, and his position, he must be removed from position. It's not that he's giving any command. Just clear and evident, well-established risk. For example, he is judged by a court to have committed a fisq, and the had is the order to be administered. The ruling is final. It has to be executed. The moment the ruling becomes final, it's well established now with certitude for the public that he is a fasiq because of this transgression, which has proven in the court of law probably. Then he ceases to be in authority. He's out of the office with the ruling automatically. Has nothing to do with any command given, obey a command or disobey the command. So two aspects should be not mixed. But obviously, Madkhali and Jami and other Munafiq Kafir, they will play a game with this. There are two major aspects. For example, if let us say, assuming that you are obliged to obey your parents, which is wrong. That is not the obligation. Obligation to be charitable and good to the parents. But this is assumed in this interpretation. If the father is fasiq, for example, he drinks khamr clearly, obviously, then whatever he command he gives is irrelevant. You can't obey or disobey. If it is a haram command, you must disobey. You see the difference? So when the one in authority ceases to be in authority and having the right of command, and another issue is that every single command should not violate the Sharia. If it's violated, you stop not doing that command. The other issue is that rule now to be removed or not removed. That's another discussion. By giving the command.
So this part is based on لا تطيع الكافر أو was it لا تطيع
تطع منهم آثما أو كفورا. Yeah, that's the ayah, the fundamental ayah, and all the details there, because the details says clearly this also applies for rulers. And Messenger of Allah warned there will be rulers who are changing the sunnah and creating bid'ah, inventing bid'ah, meaning in the ruling system, in the management of the affairs, they are inventing, violating the Sharia. That's a major fiscal kufr. And one of their characteristics is they don't care about salah. They delay it. Obviously, delaying salah is not in some sense not a sin, in the sense that this is a reason for Kitab, but it shows one of their main characteristic. So it says part of the prophetic seeing the future, but the main thing is that do not follow the sunnah of the prophet and create bid'ah. That's the main problem. That's the main problem. And then Ibn Abd, Ibn Mas'ud asked him, what should I suppose if I live until that time? What I'm supposed to do? So we're asking what you're supposed to do. What kind of saying what kind of stupid question is that? There is no obedience to the one who disobeys Allah, meaning he is not deserving obedience. He has to be removed from power. Yeah, that's a different issue than if he gives you a command of something haram, like shoot this man. No, I'm not going to shoot it. Why should I shoot him? Is he condemned to death by a court of law after a proper procedure? No. So this command is void, should not be obeyed. That the one gave the command is wrong, right, and so worth removing, that's a second question based on that. Usually it is worth removing all that. That proves that he is violating the law. But it's another issue, two different issues. Issue, obey this specific command or not? No, don't obey. Whatever the one who giving the command. The other issue, can he stay after that, for example, that has to be obviously analyzed and concluded by a proper legal procedure, because you disputing with him, telling him your command is invalid, I'm not executing it. Say, no, it is valid. They're very sure. Let me explain more. They say he give a command, shoot this man. Say, I'm not going to shoot the man. Where's the court order? Where's the court proceeding? So I say, I don't need that. Say, you need it. You cannot order someone to be killed except within the limitation of Sharia. لا يحل دم امرئ مسلم and ذمي, the same thing, has absolute protection of blood. So what is the reason for regarding his blood is worthy of shedding, or telling me as an excuse and hang him or strike his neck? I need a legal document proving that. He says, no, I don't need. I can't give the command. That's a skill kufr. He must be removed even with a sword if necessary. You say, no, it is legal because of this and this and this, but the way you said made it is not a proper way. Correct it. Refer the man face to a court, so it will analyze things, and that's it. Or sit yourself as a judge if there is constitution and the bay'ah has specified that. If he refuses, meaning he refuses to apply Sharia, then he must be removed. First of all, remove, obviously, soon to an authority which can remove him, like a court or a parliament, and so on. If not, then if there's enough power and enough people who are ready to fight, they put the sword and remove him by the sword, and so on, step by step. But there's two different issues. This specific command must be disobeyed individually, except if it's coming from an infallible messenger. Then he defines a new law. That's it. He's abrogating previous law. That's it. And from Messenger of Allah, never anything like that has come. We know that. But even if it comes from Abu Bakr, say, no, I'm not going to accept your command. You should do it illegitimately. Then we verify. Yeah, I was angry and I lost my. He himself said in his first introduction, khutbah speech, he say, I have an issue sometimes I explode in anger. If I'm angry, just avoid me. Don't listen to me. Just avoid. Just stay off until I cool down. That's he himself said that. Introducing himself. Just get a little bit. Give me a bit of space until I cool down. He's telling you, don't obey me, so just give me a space until I cool down. So if he gives a command, maybe in a state of anger, maybe that does not mean he is worthy of removing, but that command must be disobeyed anyway. Is that clear in everyone's mind? The difference between the two things. displaying a specific command, even from a legitimate authority, which was legitimate until that moment, and still believe they are legitimate and they made a mistake, whatever it is, but you are convinced, you are yourself convinced that you disobey, you don't obey the command. If you conclude with, you are confident that it is against the law. So you have to be confident of that. Then you say, why didn't you obey? Because this is necessary. No, it's according to law, you are mistaken. Okay, let's go to a court of law to see who is mistaken or not. If you say yes, we have to, he must say yes. If you say no, we are not going to court of law, then this is a clear rejection of Sharia. Because the Quran says clearly, فإن تنازعتم في شيء, what to do? فردوه إلى الله والرسول. That's a court of law. It's clear. There's no escape. If you say that, we are rejecting then the condition of ta'ah and being one in charge. You have lost your capacity to be in charge. Good? It's clear. Is it clarified now in everyone's mind? Any question there? Put it now. So
Anyone any questions?
Two major categories, different categories. Okay.
All right, we'll continue. Irrespective of whether the Imam is just or unjust, pious or sinful, or anything in between, these Sahih Hadith must be applied generally, and that includes with respect to one's parents, towards one's spouse, or any others who may hold a legitimate right to obedience. Taken in the round, they all prohibit obedience in any specific matter that is opposed to what is right, just, and reasonable. However, specifically for this hadith being considered, it removes the right of obedience for one that is fasik.
So maybe he's no more Wali al-Amr. He has to remove to an office. He loses the office essentially. But obviously, removing office someone in charge need to be certain action from state authority, from a court, etc., etc. You don't just get the sword and start removing him. That doesn't work this way. That's not this way. The only way is they say, no, you are now fasik. Go aside, resign. No, I'm not resigning. Okay. I'm denying that I am fasik. He may say I am a fasik, but I'm staying. That's his kufr. Then there's no where you can go after that, except to the sword. But he said, no, that's not trespass. Okay, there's the courts who can judge that. We have seen it. We have record of it, especially if it is condemned by a court. For example, he caught committing zina, and we have the four witnesses and so on. And now lashes, let's say stoning is abrogated. Lashes is administered. The moment that ruling becomes final that he must be lashed, he ceases to be the imam or the one in charge, and he loses his job automatically. And in that case, actually, in a proper worded court ruling, since this one who is ordered to be lashed 100 lashes, assuming that stoning is abrogated, the moment that became final, he obviously will appeal it. Let's go to the maximum, and it's become final. Then the judge must say, with this, he is removed from office. Yeah? He is removed from office. And everything will be smooth. In a properly run state, everything will be smooth.
Professor, is this rule only limited for the head of state, or he can then
No. Anyone, Wali Amr, anyone who is Wali Amr.
So minister...
Anyone who in charge, Wali Amr minkum.
I see.
Apply to father even if you believe that he has the right of command. He doesn't have a come. This is a mistake.
So in terms of...
It's not a matter of issues of choices and judgment and things like that.
Just to preempt any other points of view, so the Madkhalis don't really dwell on this much. They always hide behind.
They can't because they will be immediately defeated. That's of Qat'iyat al-Islam. Especially in a specific command, you must disobey. You must disobey. Other you are committing the same crime. They are accessory. If order you, for example, to execute someone, you are executioner. You are the one who hang this guy. Where is the ruling? Where is the announcement? Is the court proceeding have been done? Is the full court process done properly? All appeals are exhausted. Then you do the execution. But that's not what kings do. They get executed. They say, "Capitate this man." And these donkeys, they obey.
They hide behind the ijma to override the. Is this, for example, indicative of their mentality, whereby they take a ahad, which obviously a broken chain or a weaker chain?
No, there's no ahad for that. There's no ahad for that, for a specific command. Now, issue of removing from office, That may be a discussion. They look to one hadith and ignore the others. That's it. They go to hadith إلا أن تروا كفرا بواحا, unless you say clear kufr. But commanding ma'asiyah openly and clearly is an act of kufr. So that's it.
They concede to that because they concede that you just don't. Well, even someone like Faris, who's a complete bootlicker, he says you don't obey him. That's command. He doesn't concede that it's invalids his entire ruling.
Because they don't analyze the other one because they're being paid by their masters. We know what's going on.
But I just wondering what they hide behind, because it's so. For example, not
That's
here.
the reason we put that in the book of Tawheed, so that they cannot hide anymore. We expand it and mention the evidence of it, starting with the ayah. لا تطع منهم آثما أو كفورا. Look at the Quran. زوجنا لا تطع منهم كفورا آثما أو كفورا. خلاص. They say, oh, this is excluding the rulers. No, the rulers hadith ibn Mas'ud show is not excluded. So the other hadith which say إلا أن تروا كفر بواحا must be interpreted in this framework, not violating this framework. And they are in that framework if it's analyzed properly. They are in that framework if it's analyzed properly.
Brother, want to make a comment? Far away.
Sorry, on the Ulil Amr, does that position only belong to the positions in government, or does that also lead to stuff like community?
Anyone who has the right to obedience is Wali Amr in this regard. For those who believe that you have to obey your parents, that's uquq is not obedience, is wrong. Uquq is not being good and charitable to your parents. But let's assume this other point of view. In that case, a father who is fasiq, you don't need to obey him, even if you assume that you must obey him otherwise.
Okay, and in terms of elections and whatnot, selecting your the people in charge, what does this put restrictions on if they can be, if they're Muslim?
Definitely, he cannot be a candidate. He cannot be allowed to be a candidate.
Yeah. So,
Until
for example,
his tawbah is well established and well known publicly, then he can.
Okay. So, for example, is it allowed to have not the head judges, but is it allowed for like non-Muslims to be part of the judicial systems and so forth?
That's something else. That's not because there is the Islam condition for this job. So that's a subcategory. That's just a very small categories. I'm talking about. Let's assume we are discussing this issue. Electing people is judicial ruling really wilayat amr? Some people argue no, it's not wilayat amr because it's finding what is the ruling in this case, and the wali al-amr is the one who executes that. Some people will argue, but I'm not going to go in these fine details. Independent of that, if he is a fasiq or kafir, and this job wilayat amr requires this condition to be fulfilled before entering the office, then he is not eligible, cannot be chosen. And if he chosen by mistake and turns out that he had hiding that, then he loses the position. But it needs then obviously a judicial action. It needs to be sued and verified by a court and so on. This can be done. And self-respecting nations can be done. But since Muslims have, since Muawiyah, self-respect, they are not doing it. But the Americans, they do it now. Suing Trump and so on, and they go back and forth in court. But they don't have something like that principle. They have another principle, which is just treason and certain crimes only. They shield the head of state, give him immunity, because even the writer of the constitution, they came from a background where the kings have a divine right. They restrain them. It's not a divine right, yes. So they are not kings anymore, chosen by the people, but they gave them, they thought the state cannot be run until the head of state is having a wide range of immunity, which is obscure, not clearly defined. In Islam, they don't have any such protection. It's very well possible that the head of state, while driving, is breaking the red light, a policeman will stop him and issue him a ticket. This will not be possible in America because of immunity. It's unlikely to happen something else. I mentioned just a trivial example. And if the law says if someone breaking the light and the police charge behind him and stop him, they take him for 24 hours for detention or get him to the judge. The same applies for the head of state. Come with us to the judge. To judge if you should be put in prison now or you go out of bail, and then you come for a court hearing and you come by yourself, or you send your representative within the limitation of the law, like anybody else. In America, it doesn't apply like because he has certain immunity. The immunity is interpreted very wide, but not like kings who are having a divine right. But there's certain immunity. Like, for example, Trump is never accused clearly of insider trading. This is a crime. You can sue him and try him. He doesn't need to present until his term ends. Then you can sue after that. That's not in Islam. He can be sued, and then if it found that he committed this kind of trading, which leave, like, for example, user interaction or something like that is proven, the moment that ruling becomes final, as they said, someone committing zina, and 4 witnesses are there, and everything is established, and the ruling gets its final approval, the moment it's pronounced finally, only the excuse is remaining. The moment it's pronounced, he's removed from office automatically in that case. And the rules should be there. Someone say, but if he is flogged and so on, this will be purifying him from sin. Yes, after that, he may become eligible. Then he had to stand for the election after that. If the people elect him, that's another issue. Then he has repented. But with the final ruling, he is regarded as fasiq. Being flogged, remove the sin and purify him, and maybe regarded as tawbah, that's another issue. Later, inshallah, he may participate. Maybe the rules say if someone is flogged for zina, he's not eligible for 5 years until his behavior is clear that he has really repented, because we don't know if this flogging he accepted in his heart and became sinless because of that or not. So as a human being, we have to maybe say after 1 year, he can start again for election. Which then the year then people will be watching him carefully, and he seems to have repented and his behavior has improved. Maybe he has not secretly, he's a munafiq, and he still can stand. We cannot prevent someone claiming you are a munafiq. It doesn't work this way in Islam. It improves and court proceedings. Okay? Understood? Or not? Or there's any problem in understanding that? That's the difference between the falling aside of the wilayah of fasiq, the moment he commits fisq, and if he's fasiq before being elected and appointed this job or elected to that job, then he cannot be elected if it's known before. But if he hide it and is known before, is known after, it's found after that, then the moment he was elected, he was elected as a fasiq. He should not have been elected, but he has covered it up somehow. Then he should be removed from office. Okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, both before and after. If after, in the office, and it's proven and get all the final, meaning all these steps must be possible to be done in his time. If he blocks it, meaning he is then committed kufr. He's preventing from referring to Allah and his messenger. It's a clear act of kufr. Then the cure will be obviously either send the police to him, if really we have a state where the police and the various branches of the government are working properly and independent, everyone respects the law, like in a good part in America until now, in a good part still, then it goes. If not, then the only way is just to rally the people and organize your counter army and seat him by the sword, by the force, and destroy the one protecting him of the Imam guard or Republican guard or something like that. Because he cannot shield himself, except if he had guards around him, they will be with him. There will be a resisting group. They will be then all of them classified as kafir and will be fought as a kafir, as murtad, as resisting force. That's the details, the fine details, but the principle is clear. The moment it's proven beyond doubt, he's out immediately. The only thing is that, like what the Americans are doing is that the only thing which can be sued and tried in the parliament is only certain like high treason and similar crime, very high ones, not the other ones. So it's not clear constitution if he kills someone, he shoots someone. That's manslaughter, let us say in a state of anger, that's manslaughter. This is a crime. This is a crime, subject to criminal law. The moment it's found finally that he did kill someone, if it is even proven that he did it by deliberation and plotting and so on, that's a first degree murder. The moment this is concluded finally, he's out. In America, I don't think there will be a major constitutional issue in this case. But high treason, rebellious against the state. That's what happened to Trump, for example, in the 6th January affair. And similar things. Yeah, that's a good reason for removal for them. For us, is much, much less than that can be good reason for removal. As we then instructed, obviously, future constitution should specify these things and benefit from the experience of other nations in matter of procedures, ways, and means. But the principle is clear. فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول. On the principle that a fasiq doesn't deserve obedience, so he cannot be elected first. And if he's elected by mistake and a previous, like for example, he committed a previous real murder by plotting and so on, that's his first-degree murder. By the way, first-degree murder, what they call in the Western Union, is called qatl ghilatan and so on. And only Imam Malik, strangely enough, is the one who got it right. In this, in the next of kin, the one who have the right of diya and blood and so on, they don't have no say there. It's a mandatory death sentence. He cannot get out of the diya or forgiveness of the family of the victim. But the family only in manslaughter or similar, not first-degree murder. And the evidence of that, but only the Malik got it right in this specific point. But that's just a second remark. Let's assume that's what the adopted law of the land, the one in the law books. And it turns out after his election, several months later, 1 year later, still he's in office. And then it turns out that he is guilty of a murder. There was a trial ongoing, or there was no trial. Someone exposed the fact and so on, and got the necessary evidences, and the trial is happening. And he was proven to be the one behind the assassination, giving either order or executing by self. Both of them are first-degree murder, and they have mandatory execution. Obviously, how can you execute him without you have to get out of office immediately before the execution? The moment the ruling is pronounced. And the mandatory sentence will be executed 1, 2, 3 days later. Oh, that seems logical in such a situation. But other situations, like, for example, committing zina and being lashed, there is a time gap between lashing and so on. And which we will. As we had him say, if he allows himself to be punished and hudud to be administered to him, he stays Imam. What Ibn Hazm missed is he does not notice that by committing that, he is already fasiq. But Ibn Hazm did not understand the issue of wilayat al-fasiq. He did not understand it properly. That's all. But he insisted he must allow administration on him and things like that, and he stays as Imam. And my point is that he doesn't stay. He ceased to be an Imam or be in charge, and then after that he may be elected again, maybe given bay'ah again. This is something else. Is the picture clear, or is there any point in the two different categories? Are they clear? Because they have been muddied in Islamic history. People played with that. Many government scholars or many other scholars who are deficient in scholarship and intelligence.
Professor, there are multiple ayahs that corroborates with this particular ayah.
Naturally. Let's collect them. We'll add them in the book of Tawheed, inshallah.
Just for example, and I will bring the refutation in a moment, just to give you an example. وَلَا تُطِيعُوا أَمْرَ الْمُسْرِفِينَ الَّذِينَ يُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا يُصْلِحُونَ. And then another ayah. وَلَا تَرْكَنُوا إِلَى الَّذِينَ.
No. This one, لَا تُطِيعُوا أَمْرَ, could be separated with command. Only commands.
But
they don't lose. They don't. لا تطع منهم آثما وكفورا. In any command, لا تطع منهم طاعة مطلقة. It's different than لا تطع أمر المسرفين. You have to be very precise. You have to be point exact in these things.
In addition, the refutation from the other parties, they say that آثما أو كفورا is specifically titled to the kafirun themselves.
No,
no.
Why the Quran is then just blabbering? آثما أو كفورا.
Yeah, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was this particular ayah came down on the Prophet Muhammad.
It doesn't came down where? What is the wording? Say آثما أو كفورا.
Different category, yes.
Different categories with أو even.
Even oh yes.
لا تطع منهم آثما أو كفورا. It is directed at the revelation at the kafar of Quraysh, but it says even in the future. If someone is athim, don't obey him.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask. Yes.
No, this is clear. That difference in the language is clear. Arabic movie. This is not haphazard. This is not supposedly from Allah. not from Muhammad al-Mas'ari or anybody else. You could, or maybe he did not be precise. This, your precision with the Quran, if you play that, you end then immediately in hell, in contradiction, making the Quran is not from Allah. Can't be.
Yes, yes.
There's some
Okay.
reason for having these two words separated.
Either or.
Else I said, Athiman Kafura. That's something else.
Exactly. Yes.
Then it will be a Kafur who is Athim. Kafur meaning he rejected the Bible, but he is not Athim. He's a good, he treats people nice. He's a nice person, everything. He's not Athim in that sense, but he's Kafur. He did not accept the message. Will be then limiting Kafur. If you say Athim and Kafura, meaning he's limiting the Kafur in the meaning of rejecting or still not believing the message. That's not yet Ithm, because maybe the evidence is not clear to him. So he's standing in doubt, but Athiman doing Ithm, transgressions.
Aren't there also, Sheikh Salam Alaikum, narrations from the Sahaba who have said that we have not come across the Athim as well? Because they came across the Kufura, the leaders of Quraysh, but there are narrations where they've said we have not come across this category of people.
Take them out, you can bring them to me, Jazakallah khair. Excellent. Get them. I didn't come across that, but if it's there, it's even better. Take them out and get them to us. Jazakallah khair. We added them. This is very important. So the Sahaba understood. We did not come to that, and they know the command to the messenger, command to all the nation, and this is specifically for him. So the command to Muhammad, for him, apply only the kafur. There was no way that Athim would be in his time in that sense. Athim would be one of his followers, not everyone who would give him command. But after him, the command is directed to all believers. And they will be under them Athim jumping on power and so on, and taking power. Yeah? You see the point? Your point is excellent, yeah. So bring it, if you remember something like that somewhere, try to dig it out. Yeah, perfect. But the principle is clear. It should be clear. There's a difference between being eligible or being in charge and giving an invalid command and reject that invalid command specifically, independent of the one who issued it, a good, a bad, a kafir, non-kafir, that will be settled in another plane. But for that command, it must be disobeyed. من أمركم بعصية فلا تطيعوه. Whoever it is, legitimate or illegitimate. If it's an illegitimate law in the first place, you are not obliged to ta'a anyway. But sometimes you are living in a domain of kufr, you have no power. Then if he commands ma'asiyah, according to your belief, it's a ma'asiyah, and according to your belief, you disobey, you don't execute it. If you command something mubah, then you can't do it, because it's beneficial and beneficial for the society, not because he is an authority and worthy of obedience, not because you will get reward obeying him due to the command of Allah. So in the domain kufr, obeying the rules which should be obeyed for reasonable and so on, like traffic signals and so on, is only because they are reasonable and they will not harm the others, not because you are expecting a reward from Allah obeying that. You expect a reward that you are doing it for the sake of others, because, for example, traffic rules are made so that others are not harmed. So you do it with this intention, not that the Imam has ordered and Allah ordered the obedience of the Imam. There's a reward for this. No, it doesn't deserve obedience, but I'm doing it because it's good for the people. That's the events are. It is nice to the people. Be good to the people. Wish for the people that they wish you for self. Treat them the way you wish to be treated. I wouldn't like that someone come cross the line to where I'm going and hit me and possibly injure me or kill me or cut my legs. I wouldn't like it, so I don't do it to others. That's the reason I do it in the domain of kufr. In the domain of Islam, I do it for this reason, plus it's also obedience to the Imam. So that's the reason. That's the reason. If it's late at night, you look right and left, no crossing car, and then you sneak at red, you don't feel guilty. In the Islamic domain, you feel guilty because you disobeyed the Imam. There are fine things that I'm not going to refine. I'm just going to the rough skeleton. Leave the fine things for Nawawi and so on, Riyadh al-Salihin and Maw'idha and so on. That's adding. I what they call it, added like on the cake, like topping on the cake, something
seasoning the cake,
adding more. That's it. Yeah. But the core is there. The core is there. So there's a bit difference.
Professor, here, to my shock, Imam, actually the Sheikh of الأحكام السلطانية الماوردي, he says something very nice. I was shocked by this. He says وإذا طرأ الفسق على من انعقدت إمامته خرج منها فلو عاد إلى العدالة لم يعد إلى الإمامة. So he's essentially saying
عجيب
what you're
هذا
saying.
المواردي.
Yes, I was shocked by this. Yeah.
والله excellent هذه just get it aside.
Yeah.
Mm.
in الأحكام السلطانية.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, get a quote and get it somehow, copy it in a text file.
Yes. in الباب الأول باب عقد الإمامة. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So even after انعقدت, and obviously
Yes.
a fortiori if it is already fasted before, it can't be العقد will be invalid. Yeah.
Yes.
As if you're doing an عقد with a non-entity, it's عقد with nobody, because there's nobody. You should actually not be done. It may be done by mistake. Someone have overlooked, someone has known, but this is not a valid عقد which is binding in anybody. The moment you recognize, you give him, for example, you don't know that he's a fasiq, you give him good faith bay'ah. On the 10th, there's a proof. Obviously, it must be proven in a court and full proof. We assume that. Then you say, you cheated us. I made bay'ah with empty air, with non-entity. It's not valid. I'm not bound. I'm not committing any haram or exiting out of the bay'ah altogether and asking him to leave. Good? That's it.
What's the Arabic again?
Hmm?
Was the Arabic again, Abu Mahab?
Yes, the الماوردي الأحكام السلطانية, the book
What did
of
he say? Repeat.
so it's the book of Al-Mawardi.
Yeah.
The-
What did he actually say? Was
Yeah,
say in
say,
Arabic?
get the statement and translate it. That's what he
Okay, so
for.
yeah, I can repeat it in English. So he's saying if he committed a fisq, he's out of his rulership, even if he made like become adil. If he become upright, he doesn't become ruler again. خلاص, he's out of rule forever. Even if
So
he
not even Tawbah, yeah?
yeah, even if he made tawbah and become adil and
So
you
he's
know,
going to
rectified.
because you said we are not certain about the tawbah and so on, but there are certain things like, for example, we know that iqamat al-had is purifying. And if the one who has atubu ila Allah and he is mukahad, then we can assume. But the constitution may say, even after iqamat al-had, we give him 1 year of the observation or 5 years. Then that will be a little bit more lenient. And Mawari say, no, خلاص. If he did it, then مع السلامة, خلاص.
I mean, that part would be down to the bear, isn't it?
That's the constitutional part. But
Yeah.
anyway, the moment he is a fasiq and found as a fasiq, as I said, I made all these precautions until everything is established and the ruling has become final, the only execution way, that make him out.
Yes.
Someone who argue if he accept being flogged and so on and said, I repent to Allah after that, that may be repenting between him and Allah, but we have to verify that here. The Quran may say, if someone have been punished with these and these type of punishment and so on, he is out of possibility of being a candidate for 5 years. Until like 50 people or 12 people write a document saying we are sure that he has improved and he can tell and things like that. You may add that if you want. But the Maori we don't want to open that door. خلاص, this way, خلاص, مع السلامة. This has also a merit in some aspects, in the sense that we don't know about his tawbah and sincerity, but we have experience and certitude that he committed fisq. So there's no guarantee. The best thing is that the Ummahs have plenty of people. After the time of Sahaba, even time of Sahaba, we have over 1,000 of Sabiqin Awwalin, plenty of people who are qualified for Imamah. After that became millions. So why the fuss of this guy? مع السلامة. Never again. Out. You can specify that. Even if he clearly Tawbah is clear, that's not enough. He will be not eligible for bay'ah anymore. That will be an exclusion in the constitution. Would be just for and also it is a deterrence for anyone. No, if that happened, then there's no way I will be coming back. It's end station. So, for example,
yeah, that's the reason for punishment. Anyways, yeah, the deterrence.
It's part of it is deterrence. No, in Islam it's deterrence and zawajir and jawabir, and it's remove yourself if you accept that.
تطهير.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Islam is not only deterrence. No, it's improvement.
Yes.
Removing the sin. Yeah.
So just final point, when الطحاوي or similar scholars say that وقع الإجماع they say that there's a consensus that ولاية الفاسق الفاسق لا تبطل ولايته. They are making things up of their mind. That's
definitely that's the reason we have to get عقيدة طحاوية and demolish it frankly and openly without any discussion.
Yeah, but here their imam, I was shocked. I'm reading it right now in front of me. That Al-Mawardi, he's saying something completely the opposite. So there's no consensus.
So the claim of the ijma is invalid. They are lying.
Invalid, yeah.
Even that. Yeah. That's it. The people lie easily with ijma. That's the reason arguing with ijma is a problem. It never realizes. It kept things which are narrated by overwhelming tawatur and usually the description of action. Like Salat al-Dhuhr is 4 rak'ahs. كنا نترافلا ما شاء الله. Thank you very much.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay. Continuing, inshallah.
Yeah. Okay.
However,
So
specifically
make a distinction between the two. And this, inshallah, we have it in Ta'at al-Amr, but we'll develop it further. That's the next one which we do. We're doing now the review of the Tawheed and sharpening it and polishing it. And the moment we get to halfway or 2/3 way, maybe suspend a little bit and go to the Hakimiyya to go that and expand them and so on. Also, Tawanni al-Ahkam to expand and improve. And also, the book there is good, but I think I was very lenient to some hadith. Now will be very harsh. Will be extremely harsh. Get to the hard border, to the extreme border.
no wiggle room that way.
Yeah, yeah.
However, specifically for this hadith being considered, it removes the right of obedience for one that is fasik, meaning that their authority in exercising office is invalidated. The truth of this matter must be articulated clearly and plainly, despite the opposition of the munafiqeen, the hypocrites who obsess over slavish obedience to the most monstrous of anti-Islamic tyrants.
And in the edition, inshallah, we say, like the Madkhali as well in our time, we'll mention them by name now, not just general.
Good. We're going to mention, inshallah.
Or the one who gave me the fatwa for Yazid ibn al-Malik, that whatever the Imam does, he's forgiven Yawm al-Qiyamah. And these are kafir anyway, the other guys, the 50 from Mashayikh of Sham. They don't mention their names, but they must be some of the prominent ones, for God's sake. So we have criminals, some munafiqeen and kafir very much here. At around the 10 of the 1st century, Hijri. So don't be surprised that you have Madkhali now with this filthy munafiq kafir Madkhali. Yeah. Well, they have good salaf. They have good predecessors.
Imam Abdullah ibn Ahmad ibn Hanbal recorded the following narration in his follow-up addition to his father's larger Musnad collection. Abdullah narrated to us, Suwaid ibn Sa'id al-Harawi narrated to us, Yahya ibn Sulaym narrated to us from Khaytham, from Ismail ibn Ubayd ibn Rafa'ah, from his father, from Ubadah ibn Sabit. He said, I heard Abu Qasim after me there will come men who will manage your affairs. They will recognize you for what you denounce, and they will denounce you for what you recognize. There is no obedience to one who disobeys Allah the Almighty, and do not use your Lord as an excuse. The narration is cited in several collections of hadith. The narration is cited in several collections of hadith. Is both longer and in both longer and abbreviated formats. Concerning the isnad from Imam Ahmad is Jayyid, good by itself, qawi, and valid evidence together with its following corroborating channels as found in the Zawaid. Abdullah ibn Ahmad ibn Hanbal, the Mustadrak of Al-Hakim and others, the statement from Ubadah ibn Sabit, may Allah be pleased with him, and given context in which he reported the statement from the Prophet ﷺ as narrated via multiple channels. Therefore, the hadith of Ubadah ibn Samit is Hasan Sahih and provides evidence with the attesting narratives and corroborative channels of reporting. Albani has regarded it as being Sahih in his works, Sahih al-Jami' al-Saghir, as well as in Silsila al-Sahihat. Here, the prophetic wording of there is no obedience to one who disobeys Allah the Almighty is unequivocal in its established meaning, outlawing obedience to the one who is disobeying Allah. By way of implication, it invalidates and causes the authority of the one occupying a position of power to lapse.
That's exactly the necessary reason. If he doesn't deserve obedience, meaning how can you put him in charge? You put someone who cannot be obeyed and cannot listen to, Is that a sculpture or statue or an idol? No. The one in charge is supposed to give commands, to be obeyed, by running the affairs. So, meaning he cannot be in charge. Because being in charge means you are deserving obedience. If you are not in charge, if you are in charge and you have should not be obeyed, meaning you are in charge and not in charge at the same time. That's contradiction. That's not possible. So it's someone who disobeys Allah in a proven way, etc., court of law, cannot be eligible for imamah. If he stands for imamah or for an election or for a job, which is classified as wali amr, not just a pure administration, and which has all specified in detail, fleshed out in a constitution, obviously. And if he is there, he loses being worthy of obedience at all, meaning he has to go. He's occupying a place which must be occupied by someone who should be obeyed. But he's nothing. He's nil. So why he's there? Why is he giving compensation and salary if he's receiving salary and compensation? Why is this? It doesn't make any sense. So he has to be removed. The removal is a process which is complicated. We know that. The removal does not mean just out. Normally, in a reasonable, well self-managed society, the moment the ruling comes, he knows that, and the judge will say, no, go home, khalas. Hand over to your deputy if it's the head of state and so on, until elections are done according to whatever the constitution discusses. But you are out. Okay?
By way of implication, it invalidates and causes the authority of the one occupying a position of power to lapse, coupled with the prohibition of obedience to him. And a brother wants me to read this out. So these are narrations from Tabari. قال ابن عباس ما لقينا منهم آثما بعد. Also reported which says ما كنا لقينا.
That's what the brother just mentioned. Yeah, you have an example there. You can continue. You can continue collecting more hadith in that direction, brother, and bring it to us, inshallah. Yeah. The Mohab, you have here that also. Make a note of that.
Yes. Okay.
So it seems to be I got it somewhere in. I forgot that I have it, but it's very good. What's it? Somebody say again? Read it again.
Yes, please.
ما لقينا منهم آثما بعد.
But we did not find anyone yet. That's the time of Rasul. It was not available because he was the one in charge for all these things.
And also reported
we will never put anyone in charge who is having any ithma and so on. That's the point is infallible in that. But after him, everything can happen, and we have to manage it appropriately. He gave you all the instruction there. The instruction is clear. It's just the many so-called scholars or no Qurra, actually. Scholars in English is a good name because alim is knowledgeable, the one who knows Allah and fear Allah. But scholars, many are traitors and munafiq by the hadith of Rasul and by the warning of the Quran. You know the warning. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن كثيرا من الأحبار والرهبان لا يأكلون أموال الناس بالباطل ويصدون عن سبيل الله. He's warning you. He's not going to scandalize the Jews and Christians alone. He says many monks and they appear to people of knowledge. Scholar, great scholar. And even monks devoted in some kind of every tower away from life. Don't be fooled by that. The majority, kathir usually in Quran means the majority, more than half at least, if not more than that. They devour people wealth and unjustifiably, and they misguide from the way of Allah. If it happen to Jews and Christians, it's going to happen to you also. So be warned. Good. So don't come with the great scholar said that. Check it in the bin if he says something like that, which clearly contradicts Quran and Sunnah, and advocate tyrannical and fasiq and filthy rulers. Then you know already that he's from this category at least, and worse, possibly.
The wording of the hadith from Ubadah ibn al-Samit, where he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, there will be rulers after me who will order you to do what you recognize, and they will do what you denounce. These are not your rulers.
They are not leaders. They should not be leaders. That's not that you disobey or obey. They are not leaders. They are void. If they are ruling, then they are not really legitimate rulers. That's the meaning of it. So they should be removed. Which hadith is that? Who the narrator?
That's narrated by At-Tabarani. Its isnad is sahih upon the condition of as per Imam Ibn Hibban.
Okay. And who is Sahabi? I think
Let me see if it's got the number. Let me see what's reference. So this is Ibn Hajar also mentions this narration in Fath
no, I
al-Bari.
mean, who is the Sahabi? I just want to have remind myself who is the.
Ubadah ibn Samit.
That's Ubadah ibn Samit. Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay. And so what it says, these you will not recognize. What does that mean? They do.
Read it again, and see the next verse and so on. فيكون عليكم ايش؟ What the hadith says?
There will be rulers after me who will order you to do what you recognize, and they will do what you denounce. These are not your leaders. So it'd be actions that you denounce.
Yeah, they order you to do what you are. You know that is your obligation, but themselves they don't comply with it.
I see, and they will do what you denounce. So that's basically
That's it. They order you to be this and this and this, be establish had and so on, and they don't dismiss the had on themselves. Like Mubarak al-Salah, it's famous that anyone committing sins and so on brought to him, he will dismiss that had. But at the same time, to his right hand side, his homosexual friend is sitting next to him.
Oh yeah, the one, the Ramadan breaker.
No.
The forerunner to the Kuwaiti regime.
To these filthy, their grandfather, to these filthy dogs. That's
remarkable that he is their grandfather if he's a sodomite.
Or for example, they say, bring the zakat, bring your taxes. And then what is the taxes supposed to go to these branches? No, it goes in their pocket.
That's Abdulaziz, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
everyone says after Muawiyah. By the way, two hadith of Ubadah ibn Samit commenting, discussing with Uthman about Muawiyah, because Muawiyah expelled him from Sham. But I was not busy with Muawiyah there in the long version. I just got what is relevant for that Wilayat al-Fasiq is invalid. But get me that Abu Muhammad.
Regarding the selling of Khamr and regarding
check Abu على الفرة, because he said a copy of Al-Mawardi tried to tune it in Madhab Ahmad. Let's see if that's the same.
You mean regarding the matter of selling Khamr, Muawiyah selling
No. Leave that for the Muhammad. We are not busy with Muawiyah now. No, I mean the statement of Al-Mawardi that he ceased to be Imam and never come back.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Because the Ahkam al-Sultaniyya of Mawardi has been essentially copied or plagiarized by Abu Ya'la al-Farra, but given a flavor, Hanbali flavor, because the Mawardi is Shafi'i. So let us see in the appropriate section, does he say the same or similar?
A small correction here, although, as I said, it's a progressive statement by Al-Mawardi. He in the book, I just checked the book, in the final wording he said يعني ولا يعود إلى الولاية إلا بعقد جديد. So he made a condition that he can be permitted to become a ruler, but
عقد جديد. Yeah, that's what I said. The question, the constitution can say, if it's well established that he is not Fasiq anymore, that's by Tawbah and then missing the Had, etc. And then you have to have a new contract. He has to. But the question, is he allowed to present himself for election? Fine, no problem. The question is that in dunya, that's Allah knows if he really repented. We don't know, and we don't know if his behavior have changed and his life have improved. So we say maybe he can present himself for election again, or for becoming eligible 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, 1 year, whatever. It seems to be a reasonable time in which people can verify and see that he changed appropriately. Someone could say, no, he will never come. He should not have an aqd jadid. He should be excluded from it.
So this is more of an organizational procedure.
But the principle is that he has to come with a aqd jadid. Should we allow him to have aqd jadid? That's another issue.
The removal and punishment is the first thing, and the second thing is procedurally how to.
But even Al-Mawardi there is a bit deficient. He said بعقد جديد إذا ثبتت توبته. Still فاسق.
Yes, absolutely.
You should specify how it is. إما ثبتت توبته, or the had is administered and he said publicly I repent, because the tradition at the time of Abu Bakr and Umar and so on is they administer punishment to someone. And when the punishment is finished, they say, tell him, say atubu ila Allah. If you say atubu ila Allah, khalas. Plus the administration. They regard him as tawbah, as purified. But does this enough to get him? That's another question. You have to let these things and analyze them more cautiously. The issue allowing him or not allowing him is that this tawbah is maybe valid in Allah's sight. That's what I'm saying. Say these hudud are, or the known from Islam is that if had is administered in dunya, then you are released from the punishment in the akhirah. Jameel jiddan. Obviously, released only if you repent in your heart also. That's Allah knows that. But we don't know in dunya. So how to deal with that in dunya, in election? That's the issue. But that's maybe an issue of adopting something, the most reasonable one. Like,
I
for
see.
example, he even if he announced for repentance and he has administered the had, assume all of that has happened, then he can be Imam Aqd Jadid, but he cannot have a Aqd after the administration of the punishment or the announcement or the declaration of Tawbah in that case until maybe, let's say, 5 years have passed or 10 years have passed or something like that, to make sure that he really reformed. For us in dunya, for Allah, that's another issue. We know that. That's well established.
But obviously, if his sin is committed against another person, if it's a muta'addi sin, it's not a personal sin.
That has to be also in the ruling. The judge will mention all of this should be, if it's structured properly in the constitution, the judiciary will announce that in it.
Yes. So in that condition, it has to be rectified. He should like rectify his sin to that.
That's part of Tawbah. Otherwise, it's not Tawbah.
Otherwise, it's just wording. Tawbah is just wording.
It's not wording. If it's a sin against someone else, he has to commit to retain the money he's taken, etc.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's not Tawbah. Then Tawbah is not established. So, but has to be defined. If it is the rights of others have been infringed, then they have to be retained within human capability, etc. All of these things have to be the same. Also in Akhirah, by the way. Yeah. This is all applied really for sins which are not transgressing anybody else, transgressing their set of lines, sustain compensation to be done in dunya and also in akhirah, if it's not done in dunya. Yeah.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes.
So, but this is fine point. But in principle, is that what we said. And if it comes to being electable or not electable, that's a matter which the constitution should be settled. Exactly like, for example, because you could say, nobody can be elected to the head of state who is less than 35 years old, for example. Why? Because you need maturity. You can say, we have hint that all prophets are usually appointed prophets, except Isa, who appointed his womb, but it's an exception. It's a singular case. They are all in the Balagha Ashudda, 40 years, like Musa, like Muhammad, etc. So these high position, you have to have a maturity and achieving manhood or womanhood and so on. And not before, not someone 18 years. If 18 years, no problem, mashallah. Just continue. You are become eligible in the future. Your time will come. Your time will come. Okay, things like that. These will be regulatory things.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. These are regulatory things. They are not related halal and haram. Because being taken bay'ah for head of state is actually squeezing you in a corner. Actually, it's not a benefit for you. It's a test. It's a problem for you. It's a ibtila. So don't think if you arrived it in a young age or something that you have the right from your right. No. But when you can achieve all conditions so on, and even that maybe it's highly undesirable to present yourself. People have to present you. That's a general situation, except in extremes, emergency and war situation where there's nobody else there and you have to step in. Otherwise, you should not strive for that. And all of these things of manners, etiquettes, philosophy, and so on, extra. But we are going to the hard cut points which must be complied with, otherwise we have a violation of fundamental principles of Islam. That's that a fasiq cannot be elected, and if he's elected to commit fisq, he gets out of the imam, as Mawardi say. That he can be re-elected again, Mawardi says possible, bi'aqd jadid, so he's out of imama, it has to be aqd jadid, he's absolutely right in that, because he's out of the previous one. So how can Ibn Hazm say if he allows himself to be punished? Obviously, Ibn Hazm did not understand this hadith, or he did not take them on board. But that's it. Then the constitution will specify more condition, time limits, things like that, possibly. Okay. Good. But this is constitutional issues. We are talking about the fundamental aqaidi, which is we can so in the level of aqidah. The other things, in which are more state organization and so on, which is a top layer.
Procedural, yes.
Essentially procedural.
Yeah.
But it has to be sensible. You don't choose procedure which is out of sense. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Regarding this, Al-Haythami said it is narrated by Tabarani. Within its narrators is Al-A'sha ibn Abdul Rahman. I don't know of him. The remainder of its men in the channel are trustworthy. Here I would argue that Al-A'sha ibn Abdul Rahman narrates from another Ibn Abdullah from Ubadah ibn Samit and Uthman ibn Affan. Sharik ibn Abu Namir narrates from him. Ibn Abi Hatim cites an entry for him in Al-Jahr wa Ta'deel and didn't record either any criticism nor validation for him. Mention too is made by Ibn Hibban in Al-Thiqat of him, as well as by Abu Fida Zain ad-Din Qasim ibn Qutlubugha in الثقات ممن لم يقع في الكتب الستة.
الثقات أوتكاد الكتب الستة. So is this enough? This enough توثيق and enough. So that Al-Haytham did not know him, other knew him and recognized him to be ثقة. So there's no problem with Al-Asha ibn Abd al-Rahman. I was Asha ibn Mukmil. I don't remember his full name now at the moment. Okay, carry on. So
consequently, this hadith decisively shows the authority of the Fasiq is invalid and lapses perhaps even more so than the previous wordings mentioned thus far. Next, the following narration has been cited in the Musnad of Ahmad. Abdul Samad narrated to us, Harb ibn Saddad, Basran narrated to us, Yahya namely Ibn Abi Kathir narrated to us. He said, Amr ibn Zunayb al-Anbari narrated to us that Anas bin Malik narrated it to him that Mu'adh said, O Messenger of Allah, if we have rulers upon us who don't follow the Sunnah and neither take your command, what do you order us with concerning them? So the Messenger of Allah said, there is no obedience to one who isn't obedient to Allah.
So that's another hadith from Mu'adh ibn Jabal. So we have Mu'adh ibn Samit, we have Ibn Mas'ud, and we have Mu'adh ibn Jabal. And in top of that, the ayah, which I did not mention there because it did not come in my mind, I think, at that level. We'll add the ayah in the top first, and then then the matter become qat'i. That is already almost qat'i.
In Al-Tarikh al-Kabir of Al-Bukhari, he records similarly with a slight variance of wording, namely, there is no obedience to whoever is disobedient to Allah. Mention of this narrator, Amr ibn Zunayb al-Bukhari in Al-Kabir, and not mentioning him in Du'afa al-Saghir provides a confirmation of this man, a matter not hidden from those skilled in this art. Ibn Hibban mentions him in Al-Thiqat and is among the trustworthy narrators in Al-Thiqat mimman lam yaka fi al-kutub al-sittah.
So again, مثل الأعشى بالمكمل. Not one in the الكتب الستة, which is irrelevant. The people made this kutub like a sanam, like an idol. But it's irrelevant. There are things outside the Kutub al-Sitta was as good or even better than the Kutub al-Sitta in many occasions. Additional, and also they're repeating the same with better is not there. So it does not make much difference really. But things like the Kutub al-Sitta and so on. But Kutub al-Sitta have been regarded like summarizing the core of Ahkam and so on. But not everything is there, by the way. So
Amr ibn Zunayb narrates from Anas ibn Malik al-Hajjaj al-Aslami narrates from him, and he is the one whom Yahya ibn Abi Kathir narrates from, saying Amr ibn Bilal al-Ghanawi. In the print edition, it appears as al-Bilal al-Ghanawi, but the correct notation is Ibn Fulan al-Anbari. Citing in Jarh wa Ta'deel is the following. Amr ibn Zunayb narrates from Anas that the Prophet ﷺ said, there is no obedience to one who is disobedient to Allah the Mighty and Sublime. There was a disagreement regarding him. I heard my father saying that. The matter of disagreement refers actually to his name. This is because some said Zabib, like Zabib as in dried grapes or raisins, and some said it was Zainab, which patently is a woman's name. Moreover, it is also said regarding his lineage, Al-Ghanawi and Al-Ghubari. Taken in general, this isnad is Hasan bidhatihi, Sahih upon the conditions of Ibn Hibban, and the reported text, the matan is clean and upstanding. Without doubt, it is Sahih upon the substantive proof, and upon which substantive proof can be established, particularly when taken with this attestation and corroborative channels. Al-Albani has judged it to be Sahih in Sahih al-Jami' al-Saghir. This narration provides further unequivocal confirmation relating to obedience being void to the one who does not obey Allah. Here again, his authority in holding political office or jurisdiction is invalidated with the prohibition of obeying him, as also found in the previous ahadith covered thus far from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Ubadah ibn as-Samit. May Allah be pleased with them. Next, we have the narration from Abu Utbah al-Khawlani, may Allah be pleased with him, that the message of Allah ﷺ said, "Do not put my ummah into hardship." He said it 3 times. "O Allah, whoever commands my ummah with that which you have not commanded them, then they are absolved from him." This tradition is recorded in Musnad al-Shamiyain by At-Tabarani, as well as that of Al-Haythami in his Musnad. Others too have cited this, included Ibn Asakir and Al-Khatib in their respective works. The hadith is Hasan Sahih upon the conditions of Ibn Hibban, indeed a Qawi Sahih when taken together with the attesting narratives as previously set out. Regarding the portion of the prophetic statement, "then they are absolved from him," here this provides a clear indication for the lapse of authority as it relates to the political authority where they are fasiq. In terms of its import, it relates that those subject to this rule are released from their authority or from the terms as per the Pledge of Allegiance, all of which means that their rule is in effect nullified.
It is nullified, yeah. So that wilaya is batalat al-wilaya. Wilaya is invalidated. If it is valid before, it's invalidated. If it is not valid before, it is null void from the beginning, as if it was not to be concluded. Like someone who turns out later be exposed as being fasiq before taking bay'ah, and it's well established with the usual procedure, court of law, etc., etc., etc. If it is established, then that's it. Then his wilaya is void from the beginning, and null and void ab initio from the beginning, as if it's never happened. And this will open also an issue that in that case, what all the actions he did between taking power falsely and until he's removed, what to do with the action, that has to be then analyzed from Sharia point of view. But in principle, they may be declared to be invalid unless it causes major harm. So any action can be one by one, but they may be declared void automatically then. But this needs a little bit of elaborate work. But it's not, it's a constitutional issue. Yeah.
The prophetic statement is also honed in on the personage of the individual ruler as shown from the wording from him. That differs from other narrations outlining where disobedience is ordered. There is neither listening nor obedience to that required. 2 further narrations are of note. Here, the first mentioned by Imam al-Uqayli in his Du'afa al-Kabir, the second by al-Tabarani. Ja'far ibn Ahmad ibn Asim al-Antaqi narrated to us, he said, Hisham ibn Ammar narrated to us, he said, Ismail ibn Ayash narrated to us, he said, Abdulaziz ibn Ubaidullah ibn Hamza ibn Shuhaib narrated to us from Shahr ibn Hawsab from Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu. He said, "There will be rulers after me who will approve for you what you disapprove of and forbid you from what you approve of. There is no obedience to them upon you." Ahmad ibn al-Mu'alla al-Damishki narrated to us, Hisham ibn Ammar narrated to us, Ismail ibn Ayas narrated to us from Abdulaziz ibn Ubaidullah from Shahr ibn Hawsab from Abdullah ibn Amr from the Messenger of Allah said, he said, "After me there will be rulers who will approve of things you disapprove of and disapprove of things you approve of. There is no obedience to them." However, regarding the narrator, Abdulaziz ibn Ubaidullah ibn Hamza ibn Shuhaib, it has been said of him in a Taqrib, Da'if, only Ismail ibn Ayash narrated from him. There does seem to be unanimity upon him being Da'if as a narrator due to his hifz, and yet the reported matan here is plainly upstanding and attested to by the previous Sahih Hadith. which have been set out, notwithstanding the wider corpus of texts as per the Quran and the prophetic Sunnah. Perhaps on this occasion, Abdulaziz ibn Ubaidullah had memorized and related this correctly on this occasion. Thus, the hadith would be.
Because his da'if, meaning his memorization is not excellent. That's all what it really means. But he seems to be, the method is nice and good like other methods and so on. There's no reason to believe that he did not memorize properly. That's usually you check the issue of memorization and dig deeper if the method having some oddity. Otherwise, if it is synchronized with other methods, then there's no qarina. Because people misunderstand da'if, that say he had mistakes and so on. That's usually if someone like, sometimes one mistake is regard make you da'if, if it's like a significant mistake. Usually if you have like 50, 60 hadith, almost everyone having one mistake or two. If you have 5 out of 50, 10%, that's too much. Then you will be da'if. Things like that. So people think da'if is the one who in every hadith has a mistake. That's not true. That's imagination of the people. That's not true. But he's not from the excellent class. The one who have maybe 1 in a 10, 1 in 100, or 1 in 1,000 errors. 1 in 100 is excellent. Yeah, okay.
Perhaps
that's a comment general about hadith science. I don't think the da'if meaning the hadith has to be checked in the bin. That's a mistake. Even if one of the narrator is regarded as, but this is only in corroborating channels, not independent channels. If it's accused of lying, and it's verifiable that really something like that is true. Because sometimes, say this guy is lying, he means his point of view, possibly in aqidah or something like that, is wrong. Because the word lying used in Arabic can both being lying deliberately and being telling the wrong, maybe by being assuming it is true. In Arabic can allow for both. I think also English. I don't think in English maybe it's rarer to say lie for wrong. Say this one reporting something and you say he lied, meaning he's wrong. It's not like that, but not deliberately. But Arabic allows for kadiba, both this and this. But mostly use obviously for deliberate lie, which is invalidate your adala. You're not acceptable as a witness. Nobody will trust you for anything after that. Okay.
Perhaps on this occasion, Abdulaziz ibn Ubaidullah had memorized and related this correctly on this occasion. Thus, the hadith would be Hasan li ghayrihi. These texts also show the invalidation of the fasiq in ruling. Lastly, we have the following, as has been mentioned in the Tafseer from Sunan Sa'id ibn Mansur, narrated with the Sahih Isnad. Marwan ibn Muawiyah narrated to us, he said, Ismail ibn Abi Khalid narrated to us, he said, Mus'ab ibn Sa'ad narrated to us, he said, Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, said, there are words in which the truth is found. It is the duty of the Imam to rule by what Allah, the Mighty and Sublime, has revealed, and to discharge the trust. When he does that, then it is the duty of the people to listen to him, to obey and to respond when they are called. Okay, so the aforementioned narrative is also found in the Musnad of Zayd, ibn Ali, by way of an additional isnad, but carrying an addition in wording at the end of the statement, which says, any imam who does not rule according to what Allah has revealed. In conclusion, I would therefore argue that there are critical implications which arise here. People are obligated to obey the legitimate imam who occupies political power, but this is not without limitation. He has to rule by what Allah has revealed and fulfill the trust and covenant which binds the one exercising political authority.
Meaning comply with the bay'ah, and since modern things are the bay'ah is essentially the constitution, comply with the constitution. Constitution is not only enshrining certain laws, it's also agreement between the rulers and the ruled. That's the part which related to procedures and so on. And under these procedures, we proceed. So the constitution is having double function. It's a aqd, it's a contract, essentially the condition of bay'ah, and it is also contain sharia regulation, which is valid independent of the people accepting or not, or the imam accepting or not. Yeah? Because some of them are qat'i, and etc. And even if they are not qat'i, they are adopted. So then if you say, oh, that's not qat'i, we can have another ijtihad, okay, fine then, but we do the other ijtihad and do change the constitution in the appropriate procedural way. That's the way to go. Not because it's not qat'i, say, but since it's in the constitution and it has been adopted and it's part of the bay'ah, you have to comply with it. Change it later, yeah, there is a procedure to change the constitution, no problem. Good. But these are fine points for legislation and so on. That's in تبني الأحكام الشرعية.
In conclusion, I would therefore, sorry, any imam who does not rule according to what Allah has revealed, there is no obedience to him. In conclusion, I would therefore argue that there are critical implications which arise here. People are obligated to obey the imam, the legitimate imam who occupies the political power, but that is not without limitation. He has to rule by what Allah has revealed and fulfill the trust and covenant, which binds the ones exercising political authority. Failure to discharge this, therefore, shows obedience to this person is no longer required, hence his authority lapses. Indeed, this was the understanding of the Imam of the guidance, the rightly guided Khalif, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anhu. So that concludes this chapter.
I think we stop here, huh? What's the time now?
It's 9:53. Yeah, it's entirely up to you. I don't mind.
Yeah, I think 2 hours, enough.
No problem, sure. No problem.
Yeah.
Anyone wants to say anything? I'm hearing reports that MBZ may have died or been deposed or something.
MBZ? Possible.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Inshallah. Poor Faris is gonna have to change his screensaver.
Mhm.
Don't worry, that's just a bad joke. I got a worse joke, but anyway, I won't say it.
Okay.
I'll message the guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry. What do you call it? Anyone want to say anything?
Professor, there is the ayah. I don't know how to interpret it. The ayah, إني جعلك للناس إماما قال ومن ذريتي قال لا ينال عهدي الظالمين. So what is imama here? Imama is the leadership
No,
of the people.
leadership, intellectual and leadership. But the unjust will not be. Whatever you interpret imama, any leadership in management state, etc. But here the imama is intellectual leadership. It's not imama like head state.
So that's the first point. The second point is لا ينال عهد الظالمين. الظالمين here we know that it could be shirk, kufur, or fisq.
All transgression.
All types.
Everything. All types. Yeah.
Okay, so let me read you this narration of Ali bin Abi Talib. Perhaps he got it right. وقال الحافظ أبو بكر بن مردويه حدثنا عبد الرحمن بن محمد بن حامد حدثنا أحمد بن عبد الله بن سعيد الأسدي حدثنا سليم بن سعيد الدامغاني حدثنا وكيع عن الأعمش عن سعد بن عبيدة عن أبي عبد الرحمن السلمي عن علي بن أبي طالب قال عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا ينال عهدي الظالمين قال لا طاعة إلا في المعروف. So this essentially goes back to the understanding of
that's not then in the case of the professor is expanding the meaning. So the leadership, intellectual leadership will, because Ibrahim was appointed. I am appointing you a leader for mankind.
Yes.
Intellectual and imam for humanity generally. So this is intellectual beliefs, leadership and belief. And then he wished for his offsprings. And Allah said, "Do not say yes or no. Say whatever it happens in the future, don't worry about that. But definitely, al-Zalimin will not have my covenant. Al-Zalimin are excluded. So meaning, from your descendants, there will be Zalimin, they will out. Not an imam, not anything else. So that could be also applying for everything.
I see.
Because the imam having certain ahd with the people and with Allah in that general sense. So if that hadith is good and authentic, that indicates that this can be used also for wilayat al-fasiq. But also ولا تطيعوا أمر المسرفين, see similar ayahs also, although they directly narrowly to every command. But if you say for every command لا تطيعوا أمر, because it's nakara so every amr لا تطيعوا any amr of the musrifin, meaning the musrif, it cannot be imam also. Yeah, so your conclusion may be right, but immediately for every amr should not be obeyed, but all amrs, the question from every to all, because لا تطيعوا أمره, لا تطيع أمر.
There is also
so write all of that, don't lose it, write it down.
Okay, my only question here in this narration, Al-A'mash, has he heard from Sa'd bin Ubaidah? I don't know if he's one of his shuyukh. I don't know.
Yeah,
Saad
yeah,
bin Ubayd.
we'll check. Don't worry. We'll check that. Just write it down and we check it. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay. Another ayah also, it is general but can be applied in anything. ولا تركنوا إلى الذين ظلموا فتمسكم النار. الظلموا could be anything. Kafir down to
Everything.
the
But
one
this
who
is
commits.
rukun. They don't incline to them any inclination. So obviously,
Yes.
obedience is more than inclination. Somebody could argue this way. Put it also. Any
Okay.
idea that they put, and then we verify and see how much we can get meaning out of that.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah,
Excellent.
good. But write it down. And this hadith, especially the one in Mardawi, is very important.
Okay. I will copy it now, inshallah. Okay. Okay. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, anyone want to say anything? Okay, in that case, so we'll reconvene on 23rd of March, well, after Ramadan, and we'll be page 90, chapter 11, no obedience to the created in disobedience to the creator.
Mhm.
And that's, so inshallah.
Okay.
Have a good Ramadan. Tafseer carries on as normal, inshallah.
It will be inshallah on Thursday. Don't listen to anyone say it's Wednesday.
Because it's impossible, yeah? So,
It's impossible. It's for sure. And already the Mufti of Oman announced that last week already. I had the courage to say, because it's so obvious, there's no way. He said, anyone claiming to have seen it in the whole old world, it must be mistaken or lying. Even the east of America. Maybe Pacific time, it may be just borderline visibility. Maybe. Or
Sheikh, so
that's on Tuesday evening. So
Sheikh,
Wednesday is the completion of the month. Thursday is the first of Ramadan.
Sheikh, so you are of the opinion that we must see the hilal, the crescent with the naked eye, not
No. As I said, it is impossible to be seen. Khalas, we can't calculate it. So
okay, so you are going with calculation.
No.
let me say that one thing is, if it's impossible.
We must establish the hilal to be above the horizon, the full hilal, the full moon above the horizon, while the full sun is under the horizon. That's what we established.
If we establish it by calculation, is this acceptable?
It's more than ru'ya. It's better than ru'ya.
Oh, okay, excellent. Okay.
We discussed that so many times. I wonder. We have in English. We have I think Arash issued the.
Today, you go to the Islamic Revival, you'll see it.
Yeah, I have to listen to it, inshallah.
Yes. And also we discussed it in Diwan Hijazi.
Al-Khamisiyya, yes. I haven't heard it yet, but I have to, yes.
That's very obvious, even from the wording, and the other wordings were hadith. But people do not read the wording properly, and they stuck with their village mentality. That's it.
Yeah, the Wahhabis must see with eyes.
Not only, but for example, Sistani is the same opinion like the Wahhabis. They're all of them. All of these asnam are hopeless.
Subhanallah, yes.
That's what Wahhabis. Every madhab has fair share.
Everyone has had Wahhabotomy.
Fair share of donkeys. I mean, in modern times, and all the time they may be excused because calculation was not established with certitude. Secondly, you can't communicate the information of calculation or even seeing well ahead of time because there was no communication means which that fast. So every place, every city, every village have their own seeing.
Yeah.
That went. Okay, that was okay. The Sharia is wide enough and gentle enough to accommodate that. But now, since we have all of these things, and we have clarified the issue with certitude, and we have clarified the Surah Al-Hajj, مواقيت للناس والحج, meaning it's also referring to a certain point, which is Mecca. Mecca is the reference point. Ignore everything in there, then you have an absolute calendar. That's it. As discussed in Hijaziyya, and also discussed, I think, in that's it. That's, for example, you could even put that in a constitution. This is not qat'i, but it will be adoption. Someone would not like to say, I still go to the eye. Okay, let's discuss and make a constitutional change. But you are elected under this one. You don't comply with this one until adoption changes, probably.
I see.
That's an example. Another example, you may say, okay, there have been so many rulers in the recent centuries, or more even, who take for secretly from the treasury. Secret ihtilas. Not the one who claim I have the right to give, like Uthman did and so on, not people falsely, but the ihtilas, like some employee who purchase things and so on, put a different price than the reality in cohesion with that. That's the ikhtilas. That's theft from the treasury. Until now, normally this is not punished as a theft with cutting hand, but we have evidence that it should be punished like theft. It should be classified as theft punishable by cutting hand under complete condition, trial, etc., etc. You may think that's so important, you put it in the constitution. Someone says this is not qat'i. Yes, but it is the valid law, is binding as qat'i until the constitution is changed. Okay? Something
I
like
see.
that. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
But
Okay,
it's
that's
adoption.
okay.
The tale of these will be in the adoption, inshallah. And we have
Yes.
not in the book of Tawheed, but in the book of Hakimiyya. So
Hakimi, yes.
where all these fine points and so on are expanded. But keep these ayat and the hadith and so on so we can flesh them out, inshallah, when we get there.
Okay. Okay. I will keep them on record, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Written.
Yeah, listen. Don't rely on memory. Don't try it.
Yes. Yes. Okay. We'll do it.
Written text file in your computer. And don't rely on some obscure cloud or something like that. Then you will be regretting.
Yeah, I have to be.
It is not in your computer, then it is not. It's gone. It's forgotten.
Yeah.
In
Yes.
writing.
Okay. We'll do it.
For
Inshallah.
everything also, for everyone listening there.
Yes.
For example, our videos there are broadcast. If we are not have a copy in before uploading them or the immediate streaming, everyone or interested should download that to his big hard disk.
Rash, my question is, are you uploading anything like on any platform, or they are just like being on hold?
No, we have YouTube and we upload other things to Rumble and so on. But this is, I think, explained in Enterprise.
Yeah, basically, I've got hidden accounts. I've got public accounts.
Oh, okay. So
I'm
you're
getting-
still
again,
working.
I'm getting a fiber line, inshallah. Put in.
No problem. Take your time.
No
It's just I'm just randomly asking. No
Don't worry,
worries.
inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Barakallah fikum, Doctor.
Okay, inshallah. So until the 23rd of March, that's number one for this. And Tafseer, as usual, 1 o'clock until even after Ramadan, because the change of date will be at the end of March, I think 29th of March or something like that. So we'll cover Ramadan, and even 1 week after Ramadan, we will have at 1 o'clock for Tafseer. Tamam?
No problem, inshallah.
Yalla. Bismillah. Yeah.
Yeah, just saying Assalamu alaikum.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. اوكي سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نستغفرك ونتوب اليك. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم في العالمين انك حميد مجيد، وبارك على محمد وآل محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم في العالمين انك حميد مجيد. ورمضانكم مبارك، ونلتقي بكم بعد رمضان. We'll meet after Ramadan, inshallah. A blessed Ramadan for everyone. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.